Hey everybody, welcome to Ignorant Bliss. I'm Julian Lytle, the creator and host. Um, we have here a new episode with Ronald Wimberly, my friend. As some know, he is a great and award-winning and nominated cartoonist, creator of Prince of Cats, Sunset Park, um, many other fine graphic novels that he's worked on, creator and editor and curator of the comics criticism or art criticism newspaper LAAB. The most recent one, number 4, is out. Um, this is the first time we've done an episode since the first one of LAAB came out, since LAAB number 0 came out, I think in like 2018. Here in this episode, we talk about comics, the medium, fandom, criticism, economics of it, and getting into some of his things of moving or dealing with comics and entertainment. And then when we recorded this, things were happening in the world, so there's some politic talk and state of the world as we start a new year and a new decade, as things going crazy. And we recorded this before he was getting himself together to go to Angoulême in Europe as a whole. The goal is to record another one once he gets back, get his take on his feelings of comics post getting rejuvenated across the pond. I hope you enjoy it. For those who would like to help support the show, please like, share, subscribe. You can listen to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Blog Talk Radio, all types of places you can find podcasts, as many different podcasters say. There is a Patreon that I do for myself that helps support this show and other things that I make. Patreon.com, Julian Lytle. Ignorant Bliss Podcast at gmail.com if you want to ever write anything to me or talk about the show or send any questions of sorts. IGBL Podcast is the Twitter handle. That's how you can find me on there. Plus, my personal one is Julian Lytle on all social media. And thanks to all the patrons who do help support this show, help me pay for things like server space and other little random things I have to buy. And that's all. Hope you enjoy this episode. Have a great morning or afternoon, night, nap, work day, whatever. And peace.
Your subscription letter. I'm like, I like the magazine though. It's pretty.
Yeah, man. Shoot. I didn't even read that article, so like, I don't even know what it's saying.
Okay.
I think that once I saw it started to be shared, and you know me with the comic stuff now, I kind of just like mute things.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, does Jacobin actually know what they're talking about in this regard? Probably not. I'ma chill.
Yeah.
So what does it actually say?
No, that's wise. I think it's talking about gentrification and graphic novels versus floppies. Let's see how much of it I can recall at this point. I feel like part of their critique had something to do with just like the availability or like who's reading those, like who, like what's being produced, like the aesthetic, I don't know. I don't even remember, bro. Like, okay. I read it and it was like out of my head, like almost immediately afterwards. But then I was like, I posted it on Twitter. I was like, you guys should go ahead and like maybe allocate some bread to cartoons in your paper then, you know what I mean? Like, to maybe have a comics section, put your money where your mouth is. You know, if you got this great working class medium that you're lamenting, you know what I mean? Like, why don't you go ahead and and do that? But there was what I remembered is what there wasn't, which was like there wasn't what I would have expected or hoped from a sort of like materialist uh, analysis of what happened with comics from the move from like newsstands, floppies, like the whole sort of how like the distribution models changed, like all of these different things, and like how that also affects like what I guess you could say urban environments are like, or so for instance, like can we talk about like the similarities between the closing, or like what it means for like newsstands to close, or like magazine shops to close, like, and what that means in like in terms of how real estate moves, like gentrification, all that shit, like a whole bunch of shit you could go on into, sort of like I mean, bro, like I feel like we probably talked about this a bunch.
Yeah.
Maybe not on a podcast though.
Yeah, it's also interesting that a person would put out that a post like that with right now with the young adult market popping for comics, and comics
Right.
actually returning to a market or a demographic that is again becoming dominant children. And it's been like the most of my adult life talking about like why kids don't read comics, and now we get to a point where kids are reading comics, and we got some old
Which is
dusty
great.
person saying, "Oh, it's bad." Like,
Well, I feel like what I can remember about it was, something that you hear a lot from this sort of white left and far left sort of romantic notion of what the working class is, and like sort of this sort of romantic construction of, I guess, what they would call the demos, right? Like the people, you know what I mean? Like this sort of weird fabrication of like this working class person that doesn't really include like the breadth of just like it actually, what they were talking about, I don't have it in front of me, but it felt like it perpetuated at times this sort of myth of who read comics anyway, right? And like I don't know, like some like kid of a factory worker at a newsstand, maybe, you know what I mean? Like I don't even know, man. Like and its role is like low art, you know what I mean? Like like and that's what it was. Where it's like, I don't know, when we grew up, right? Like, all right, you would go to 7-Eleven, and there were comics, right? And that shit, I think, oh yeah, they said something about middle class values, right? Being sort of like middle class values being what's showing up in these graphic novels. But then it's like, when I think about when we were kids, like just the economics of things, like how X-Men #1 was like, had completely exploded. Like they were printing so many of them. Like people were collecting these floppy comics just like as commodities that they could, sort of hold on to, that, and like they would accrue value and all of that shit. Like, bruh, like niggas wasn't even reading the comics. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like,
only the kids were, and even they was getting multiple copies. It's crazy.
Right? How is that not middle class values? Like that is like the Wall Streetification of comics. At least niggas reading these like graphic novels are actually reading the books, bro.
Yeah. They're either buying it and reading it, or they go to the library and they read it and they take it back and they get another one. Like they're not worth nothing.
Socialist in a fucking library, bro.
Hey. Like it's just,
you know what I mean?
It's
free information.
Yeah, man, it's comics is in a weird place as we starting a decade like this, bruh. Like,
Mm.
already, already.
Yeah. But you know what I like? They saw the value in writing an article about comics.
True.
Right? Like, that's what I take away from it. It's like, all right, y'all niggas want to talk about comics. You know, you really don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But I love that you see some value in it because, like, maybe whatever else you're talking about and really, got interesting to people. Maybe you can, and like, it kind of worked. I think it seemed like a lot of people had a lot to say about it.
Yeah, I guess they had a
But
good
they
dialogue.
showed their ass though. Yeah.
Yeah. When the troll works, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. What's up with you, man?
Me, doing some research. I wanted to know about some YouTube channels that are pretty popular within the comic space, and I found out one is just where a guy just basically reads you the story, and I was quite taken aback that this is popular. Then I was like, oh, so you mean people are so busy that he created a whole new demographic for comics? They're
Wow, like
people
being
who
read comics.
just got the YouTube. I got the images on screen. I changed things so I don't get sued, and I read you what happens, and then I guess if you interested, you
What do you
go
mean
buy it.
change things so that you don't get sued?
He takes all the lettering out of the bubbles and stuff like that.
Wow.
Like, so you can't read
Interesting.
the comic in the video, and he's
Interesting.
paraphrasing what's being said, and he's doing crops and stuff, and I'm not knocking the hustle, but I'm really sitting here like, oh, this is popular, like, for real. And they got the subscribers, and it's like, yo, I guess if you can't afford to read all these $5 comic books, but you
Right.
still want to keep up, and really, I guess it's not hurting nobody. It's kind of free marketing because it's like, yo, you should go buy this, and then I don't even know where this fits, but
I have a question. Right? I have a question. Man, like, I wonder how much it costs. Like, I wonder what the margin is for comics. You know what I mean? Like, for big Marvel, because it just occurred to me that there's soap operas, right?
yeah,
And it's like, you want to keep up with your stories, right? And then I was thinking, like, but growing up, ain't nobody paid to watch a soap opera. You know what I mean?
nah.
But, like, you know what I mean? You definitely watch, like, a grip of commercials, right? And so then it just got me thinking, like, well, what's the margin on these comics? Like, because they still have ads in them, right? I haven't read a real comic in years. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah,
Right.
there's still ads. I think they kind of put them in the back. I'm not sure because I don't read that many comics off the rack. I'm either reading digitally or in a way that some people don't like, or like people give me comics. I read a lot of comics because people just give me comics, and they're in the trade format. So it's like I don't know where the ads are, but I know this $5 is not a sustainable. Even $4 is not sustainable for comics to me. Not when I spend $2 a month to Viz to go read Shonen Jump, even though we're like a tertiary market for it, or even still, like,
I know, right?
like, bruh, Apple Music cost me $15. That's because I got the family plan to like put my like aunt, uncle, and my cousins on. Other than that, it's $10. Like, you know how much music I listen to in a month? Like, and like I it's weird because then I got the Disney Universe app, not Disney, the DC Universe app. They got mad comics on there. I paid them $75 for the year. I don't I can read comic books a year old. Like, I don't even stuff don't change that quickly that like I can't find out the big high plot points to know like the direction that editorial is taking the universe that I probably don't agree with. But the cost the return on investment in superhero comics at this point is crazy because they're not even like beautiful objects. It's like when you buy like an indie comic or even like something from Fantagraphics or something, it's going to set you back. But it's an object that's like, oh yeah, this joint gonna look fly. You know, somebody gonna ask me about it. We could talk about it. The paper's nice.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and I like to look at them. Like I keep them out. You know what I mean? Like, you know how I got my little magazine right now. You know what I mean? Keep all my little zines on there. You know what I mean? It's nice. You know, pick one up, look at it, just to have it. You know, just to look at it, to touch it or whatever. Like I got this one that I got from Printed Matter. The other day we had a signing over there. This joint by Ben Marcus, Crisis Zone. It's like a little 1-color, 2-color joint, like manga style. It's like, oh, this is nice. It's like going into an alternate universe, you know. And the materials are great. Like this looks great, you know. But yeah, when you pick up those really flat, like flashy, you know, I almost want to call them oily. You know what I mean? Like they feel oily.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Gloss on
it's
it.
like it. Yeah, it's just like it's so detached from the materiality of, you know, comics. You know what I mean? Pretty gross. Like, but I mean, you know, to each his own or their own. Yeah. But yeah, like nah, there isn't, like, you don't, like, why keep that? You know what I mean? It's like, why would you keep, you know, what's something else like that? I don't even know.
Yeah, and I
like,
don't.
It's not an object that you want to keep. You don't really want to keep it. Like the whole value is just that it's letting you know what happened this month, right? In this narrative.
Yeah, and it's weird because we're like 20 years into this, and like comics is still like I can't just pick up a comic and get a story.
Nah.
Like at all, like, you know,
it's not an achievement. It's not an achievement to keep it going like that if you can't, you know. It's not an achievement if it just becomes this thing where, like, you know, zombie of a story where you can't pick it up. Like, that's one of the oldest things about, like, the old cartoons and shit, too. Is like, you watch an episode, it's like, oh, okay, that's what happened to Spider-Man. But then also, there's a grand arc. You know what I mean? Like, the people are coming in and out of this character's life, and different things are shaping this character's life. But you can just jump in and enjoy, like, you know, the typical day of your neighborhood, you know, Spider-Man or whatever, you know.
Yeah, and you know, there'll probably be people that are like, oh, but you can't. It's like, and I'm like, nah, fam, I did this too long. Like, all the stuff you saying, I can see, like, I'm like Neo, I'm already looking at the Matrix. It's like, nah, it don't work that way. It's like when we talk about like a random new chapter of One Punch Man could come out, right? And it's like, oh, this is dope. But you figured out, like, it's dope, but it has nothing to do with the main story. Like, it's just like, I just want to focus on this random hero that's fighting one monster. Okay.
Right.
Like,
that do be killing me sometimes, bro. Because I'm like, yo, what the fuck? But I want to know what's going to happen. You know, I'm gonna get to the point where this motherfucker punch somebody again.
It do, but when it happens, you know? It's like, oh, we here.
Oh, it's revelry. Because, you know, it's like, you know, he's got like 2 drawing tables, and one of the tables is just him working on that one punch for like a month. You know what I mean? It's usually like a 2-page spread, you know, maybe like a couple spreads, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, but he's got to draw every little rock. You know, he's got to draw like all the splatters up on the wall, whatever little sequence is almost like a hand-drawn storyboard, you know what I mean? Like, he's got to spend his time on that. And in between that, he's doing like whatever, you know. Man, when are we going to see the heroic dog character again? I miss that.
Yo.
Like, you know, the nigga in like a dog suit?
The dog, yes. Yeah, Dog Man or whatever. Like,
I feel like Dog Man might be, you know, like, he's definitely an extra level of power, you know?
Like Garo got his ass beat by like, it's like I could do it. Like, he just, I was like, that's the real test.
Shaking his hand, right?
And the fact that he acts like a dog is what makes it awesome.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm like thinking like there's so many people that like have it. They're like, you see like a little bit. It's like, oh, like now you just seen like the big bald black guy that like the muscle,
right?
The fitness model dude. And it's just like, And it's like, yeah, like he flexes and like the monster get destroyed. I'm like, it's
He just a dude with a speedo on. You know what I mean? Like, it's true though. 2019, and like just being a strong black dude is like a power in Japan. You know what I mean? Like they still haven't got past that. I'm gonna let that slide because I love the comics so much. But like,
I know, right?
It's 2019. You know what I mean? Like, come on now, come on. You know, we done had all these other characters too. Y'all feel that? Come on, man. He was like, gotta get better with that.
But at least he ain't get on pump. He ain't get soft. He ain't get pumped out or nothing. He was just like flex.
He literally flexed on him. This is crazy, right? Literally flexed on him. I love it.
Oh yeah. But yeah, it's
thinking about comics, man.
Comics. Like, man, I haven't even read. Like, actually, that's a lie. I've been reading one old series, and it's a chore. You know.
What's that?
DMZ. It's a chore.
Oh shit! Right. Yeah, you were telling me about it. Yeah. Sorry.
Like, I'm 70. I'm thinking I'm 75% through, and man, that does not hold up. That does not age well.
Yeah.
Who would have thought 2014 would be that dramatic?
Right.
It wipes out everything else from early 2000 to 2010s. Like, push it away. Like, no, all your thoughts are wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the thing is, go ahead.
No, I was like, I guess things were good enough that we could let it slide back in like 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. Like, man, we doing all right. Black person's president and all. Yeah. Looking back, you're like, ooh, you got all this wrong.
Yeah.
Interesting concept.
Yeah, nobody was wrong. That's the thing. That's what I was about to say before. I was like, at a certain point, it's just like, it's just the premise, right? The premise is strong. Everybody likes that. Escape from New York City. You know what I mean? Like, people tend to like that shit. Like, what is it? Born in Flames or whatever. Like anything where New York City is in like sort of a post-apocalyptic state and it's like cut off. Born in Flames is a lot better than, of those, like Born in Flames might be the best version. But like, yeah, like that, people are into that shit. Part of the Ghostbusters movie. You know what I mean? Like, people love that shit. And I think DMZ is just like a version of that. And like, it's crazy, I don't think the motherfucker deserve any credit at all. But if I were to give them credit, I'd be like, well, okay, so, ain't nobody was like doing, or actually, you know what? No one got the platform to make that idea at that scale. You know what I mean? And that's part of it too, is like, you realize at a certain point, you start to realize like how much of it is motherfuckers having good ideas, or how much of it is just some motherfuckers get the platform to put the idea out. You know what I mean? And like, I think that was the case with this motherfucker in particular, like a ton. And what's crazy is like when you have the ability to sort of like, attach yourself to, like some of the cream of the crop artists, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty broad, bro. You know what I mean? Trojan horse shit. Like, that's how I felt, at the time when I was working over there. It's like, I got so many things put in front of me where motherfuckers was like, oh, like, why don't you want to work on this? I'm like, I don't want to be a Trojan horse, bro. Like, I don't want to be a black artist on a book about black people written by some like white dude who like doesn't even know black people to observe them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any problem with people using their imagination to write things. You know what I mean? Like, nobody out there is like a Norse god, can shoot lightning bolts from a big ass hammer, but they can write this shit. You know what I mean? Like, but it's like, I find it like just grotesque and perverse that people want to capitalize on the spectacle of like diversity or like someone else's story and they don't even, you know what I mean? Like they haven't even stepped outside of like their particular safety zone to like observe or to even imagine like other people's lived experiences, which is like I think an artist's job to do. You know, but anyway, I don't know. I'm rambling.
Yeah, I agree though. It's kind of from our position, we always have to. It's the old thing when they say black people have to know white people better than white people to a degree and ourselves. But even that alone, that's just like, we've had the ability to access many different settings, different types of white spaces and Latin spaces and Asian spaces, and it helps. It helps when you're in those spaces to really get an actual better 360. If you can't get close to a 360 view, at least a more complete view or more pieces to the puzzle of how the world works than some other people do.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking like
like I'm gonna imagine.
Yeah.
Some sort of purchase on it.
Like, where do you think the superhero is gonna go in these next 10 years? Because I don't know if
Wow, that's an interesting question to ask me, right? Cause
because I don't know if
I don't know anything.
I don't know if the comic is gonna survive like the comic as we read it now. Because it's like, I don't think you saw the movie, but I saw that Endgame movie, and I was like, I don't see the purpose of reading superhero comics anymore.
No, I saw it. That's the one where they kill Thanos, right?
Yeah, like everything that I read in comic books, they was able to do on screen. And people could say different. It's like, but nah, like they got the budget. Like when they say like comics have an unlimited budget, well, so does Disney, and like that's way more. Yo, they got an army of people making this image, so it's like I enjoy it look way more personal,
right? Here's the thing, though, right? Like, they have to workshop those images. Like I would say the one thing I would say is different is like we would never have gotten Spider-Man if they had to put all of that fucking resource into workshopping what he's gonna look like like just like you're just never gonna get to that point where you're like nobody's gonna take those chances, so like what you have is the value of say what is it Mara does like a superhero book, right, for Image, or no, who is it that does the one Copra?
Oh, Michael Fife. He does it. Is it Image, or I know it's independent or something like?
I forget. Yeah. It used to come out from. Yeah. It used to come out from the Bergen. I feel like Bergen Street Comics used to put it out. But anyway,
fake Suicide Squad.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know for me. I know it supposedly was like kind of a take on something that already existed somewhere. Suicide Squad. But the fact is like it's bootleg. They can do a bunch of weird stuff with it. They can even do stuff that actually doesn't work in like as represented in our world. Like things that only work graphically. You know what I mean? Like I think, for instance, you and I are big fans of a certain supervillain who's yet to have been like kind of captured properly on screen, and sometimes I wonder if it's just way more powerful as like a graphic image. You know what I mean? Which is Doctor Doom. You know what I mean? Like I think graphically, even people who try to do realistic versions of it in floppies and comics kind of lose that sort of essence. You know what I mean? Like something like Hellboy, right? Like the difference between the first Hellboy film, which is like this is a matter of craft, right? And like the second, I can't say like I've watched the entire film, and I don't think I will ever be able to say that. Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever be able to say that.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. Like, it just looks like it's just like a waste of time. But my bad.
Yeah, but like that's like you know what I'm saying? Like that is like this sort of realist approach to the material. You know what I mean? Like realist in terms of like how they're going to present it, like the budget, of what they're going to put into it. Like, where it's not actually, I'm not sure it is what it is outside of like its graphic, you know, how it's represented graphically. Or else you just need to make the filmic version, which is like what I feel Guillermo del Toro was doing, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna make the filmic version of this. And I think maybe what you're saying is like the filmic version of these superheroes is actually a better native than like the comic version.
Then what is the current comic version? Not comics history ever. I'm saying for the bulk of what's being produced now with those characters, what they're trying to do. The movies have executed better. Yeah, like it's even that. It's like it's like when we see Chase when he draws one of the characters, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, you did it, but like look at the way he did it. Like I could see that as a cartoon. Like that makes sense now. Like like I could see what you really trying to do on this comic book page. And then I was sitting in the movie screen and I was like, oh, the way that nigga Captain America hit this nigga with the hammer and they was going in, like with the fight, like, oh, they had the rhythm of the fight, like, this is what you was trying to do. But here they got like people who really do know how to do that stuff, and it was like, this not only this is the rhythm and this is how it's gonna look best, and like if people take keyframes, like we're going to do what you want to do better with the style of what you want to do, not the like offshoots where people go into like the real cartoony method or different graphical approaches, but like the month to month, 80% of superhero comics. Not even what Michael Fife is doing with Copra, where it's just different take and working it with a bootleg and doing things you can't do like that. Nah, you can't replicate that in a movie. But like random Avengers comic number 36 from 2018. Nah, the movie was better.
All right, so if you ask me what I think superhero comics could go, which I'm not sure that like I'm sure I'm not qualified really to give much of an answer for that, but maybe it's just interesting to hear, right? Like someone who has actually very little knowledge about it or whatever to talk about it. I don't know, like I want to imagine what it could be. Like a dope thing that it could be is like man, it would be interesting if this is gonna sound fucked up. Like I'm imagining in the future, like, and this would totally be the way that they would like destroy it, right? It's kind of like those old Warner Brothers stores or some shit. Like you go into your little Disney Marvel store and like there's the DVDs, you know, like there's all the memorabilia and shit. And then there's like a fucking comic. Like the comic could even be the catalog. It'd be for free. You know what I mean? Like it comes out, you go to the store and you get it. Or like it's some, you know, thing that they sell at the, you know, or they have at the park. You know what I mean? Because like really these things are, you know, I feel like your boy Scorsese hit the nail on the head when he was saying that the movies are more like rides than they are like films.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, word. And like, the comics have become something else too, right? Like, I don't know if they're comics, you know, I'm not speaking about everybody, but like, I get them for free every once in a while too. And I picked up one like 2 or 3 years ago. And that's maybe the last time I've really gone through one like that. And I remember looking at it being like, damn, like actually these motherfuckers can like draw. I mean, yeah, some really, you know, solid drawing in some of them. Solid in the sense of just like draftsmanship, right? I'm not talking about drawing like, you know, an interesting drawing like mark making, but talking about like, okay, this motherfucker knows how to, I totally understand the idea that this person is putting forward, right? Like, and they're doing a great job, like filling a page up, like balancing things out, like technically there. But then it's like, in a weird sort of way, more interesting as art than it is as like a comic. Like it's more interesting as like what the fuck am I even like? What am I looking at? Like a piece of abstract expressionism, you know what I mean? Like, or some sort of a weird tongue-in-cheek comment on like late-stage capitalism's tendency towards like fascist aesthetics, you know what I mean? Like explosions and like, you know, machines fighting and like, you know, futurist sort of like spectacle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, like, why? If that's where it's going, and if that also is kind of like, it's part of a participation in the endless parade of the films, like, what is the best way? What is the best way for, like, say, Disney to use them? And I would think it'd be like, yeah, something kind of like the circulars that I get at home, you know, like just something to keep me interested in it as like our attention spans and like our ability to really kind of like discern any sort of a product that's put in front of us, like the value of it versus like the value of just our time away from it. Like as that becomes eroded more and more by like the constant fucking bombardment of these images, I feel like these floppy comics would serve a greater purpose just like as that sort of a strategy. So meaning like even how they work in these comic book stores now where it's like, okay, so you need to have a dozen, however many Batman books, you know, just to take up the space on the wall. You know what I mean? Like just, okay, we need to get as much of this product on the wall, and like that's the battle, right? Like visual real estate. I think like in the future, that might be the role that these comics play, like R&D, and also just like to let motherfuckers know, like that Spider-Man is a thing, and be into Spider-Man because like there's a Spider-Man movie in development. You know what I mean? It's like so that people know about it. But like you might not even need that if you have like Disney Plus, where I'm sure like it's going to replicate even probably visually what a comic book store wall looks like. You know what I mean? And it's like, so if you have your sort of user experience interface on your PlayStation or your Apple TV or whatever, and you've got like on that, you've got like Disney, Amazon, Netflix, or whatever. Like, I think what'll happen is, maybe like they even skip the interiors and it just becomes like the covers. You know, just like keeping the shit in front of people. I don't know. I think like that's what it's gonna be more about. It's like keeping the shit in front of people. Like they gotta become like advertisements. You're like keeping you brand aware of the brand. You know what I mean? Like, because at a certain point, old people who read in comics now, like superhero comics, I should say, it's like they're going to become less and less relevant. You know, like even how they relate to the characters as being from the comic books, they become less and less relevant. So like what a comic, the function of the comic is even different. Like when do you even come in contact with material objects that, you know what I mean? Like, and they're not going to really, I don't know, maybe, you know what, they also start to just, maybe they just get rid of the floppies and start to package them as graphic novels. And like, I don't know, maybe they license them out, you know what I mean? Or, because like, is it cheaper to have a publishing wing, or is it, you know, or is it make more sense to just kind of like, okay, IDW does Spider-Man now, you know what I mean? Like that's their model is publishing, right? So like, let them put out a Spider-Man graphic novel, or, you know, let them do like how they're doing with Ninja Turtles, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just like how you got people who make Spider-Man t-shirts, you know what I mean? Like Marvel, I'm sure Marvel makes, I don't know, like, does Marvel even make any of that shit?
Like
all little tchotchkes and shit. Yeah, like little toys and
like
shit.
Merchandising licenses most likely.
Yeah. Like, what if the comic book publishing becomes something similar? You know, where it's like you already have the essential stories, right? Like, and like maybe you have when the movies come up, it's like James Bond. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's nothing these aren't based off of any of the books anymore. You know what I mean?
They
Like,
retell the books. They just change the name sometimes. It's like, oh yeah, I know this story. Like they just redo the same
also,
thing over and over again.
so there is some sort of like story structurally, like all of these different films have something like to do with the Ian,
Yeah, like
whatever.
if you look at like go, let's just stick with the new Bond, like new Daniel Craig Bond. So the
Hmm.
first movie, Casino Royale, is Casino Royale, right?
Hmm.
But the arc of James Bond, where he's like a hard-headed, uh, rebellious double O agent, until like the pinnacle peak agent, when you get by the end of like Skyfall, or really by the end, yeah, by the end of Skyfall, that whole story is just Her Majesty's Secret Service. It's just spread over
Hmm.
3 movies. Like James Bond falls in
Uh,
love, James Bond loses his love, James Bond deals with such loss, he acts out, he gets his shit together. Like like if people who really want to pay attention to these movies and like the stories, they just had to rejigger around. Like James Bond was rebooted without people saying like, "Oh my God, it's a new James Bond." It was just like, if you pay attention, it's like, "Oh, this is like the first 4 movies, but with Sean Connery, but it's new and with some Jason Bourne stuff injected into it, and it's cool and it's unexpected, and you get like a really great film like Skyfall out of it." But it doesn't really matter anymore. Like it's just James Bond. Like you just said, it's just like it's just James Bond. Like only people like me really care, and I guess that's what I like is like maybe they need to work more like that in terms of like if you really know is this, but for the most part, you know it's just it's James Bond or Fast and Furious. Like Fast and Furious
mm.
is Fast and Furious, but the first Fast and Furious movie is Point Break. It's the same movie, except there's a lot more black and brown people in it, and it's cooler for for the year 2000 and 2001. We cared about cars instead of surfing. Like it was urban. Urban people don't surf because motherfuckers don't live near the beach, but they got cars though. Like it's the same movie, and somehow they took that basically untold remake, like sly remake, into like a movie where a bunch of brown people save the world from like super evil hackers, and
So,
you got Black Superman and fighting the Rock in the transporter.
so bust it then, right? Like, does it make sense that granted, given that, does it make sense that like there are no new James Bond books, right?
No,
There
well
are no new,
they try, but I don't think they matter.
right? So like, so my point being like there don't need to be new comics, right? You
You
could
can
just
say that.
essentially every generation tell the same story as they have kind of been doing, right?
Yeah.
With like a different, and it could work. Ostensibly, you could just keep going. It's like, how many you could probably come out with. You could probably tell the I don't know, like the story, any of the Greek epics, right? You could tell like once you could go through the whole thing. Like Ulysses gets a fucking movie or several movies. You know what I mean? Like Hermes has his little offshoot. You know what I mean? Like you got the Titans. You know what I mean? You could do that 6 years, right? Over the course of the age of like the prime age of whatever characters, like before, the old ones die and before the young ones look middle aged or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you could do that every 6 years and start over again. Like why couldn't you do the same thing with the Marvel universe? You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
which in a weird sort of way, I'm thinking they've done it with Spider-Man, right?
kind of like, well, I would say this is like I guess that's the big difference, and there still is this constant debate. Like when people say DC is corny versus Marvel, it's like that's DC's mo. Like they like we're just gonna reboot the whole thing, and
Mm-hmm.
we're just gonna tell some of these stories in a different way. Like for people who are old who still read these books every time, all the time, you're like, man, like, it's the same story. But if I'm somebody that's like 16 who didn't read a comic in 1985, hey, we gonna do Batman Origins again. Like there's cell phones in it now. Like it works. It's interesting the type of cultural mind space Marvel has over things that I've seen replicated from the comic space into the movie space. Like when I have these conversations with people, it's like, well, people just need to do it like Marvel does it. I'm like, yo, like that's not what I want to see. Like, I don't want movies to be like what they done with those. Like, I don't like the fact that the Marvel movies are like a basically expensive TV show that you pay. Like every quarter, you pay for an episode, and it costs you like $15. And it's the same method that like Stan Lee perfected in the '60s of like, oh, we're gonna tell all these stories, we're gonna put these little threads, and then eventually they all gonna come together and do something. And it's smart that they did it. Like I could respect the business acumen, but I'm like, now you get to a point where like Scorsese got to come out the hole when he's promoting a movie and say like, yo, we in danger. This keeps going in this path, and we won't have nothing. And people seem to forget that the Marvel method led to a point where they messed up the industry, and comics never really recovered. So is that something you should copy? Like, no one really sits down and like, yo, the Marvel way led to Doom. The industry never recovered.
Not literal, not the character.
No, but like literal Doom. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I haven't taken the time to think about how it fits into the arc of, what else was also happening in, economically around that time, and like how it maybe affected it. But it certainly seems that way.
Yeah.
Certainly seems like they made a lot of bad, in terms of kind of like weird sort of economic warfare. Like trying to control distribution channels, really trying to hack the way that people interact with the medium at the time, at least in terms of superhero comics.
Yeah, and it seems like some of those practices are being replicated. I worry about this Disney Plus thing in regards to the television shows. Like, you needing to actually watch the television shows to understand the movie. Like, when I was younger, I always wanted somebody to experiment that way. And I heard the story of Stephen King's like Dark Tower, and they were like plans like, oh, we can do a movie and then we can do a show, and then you do another movie, but you gotta watch the show to get the movie. And I was like, all right, the way people talk about these books and the way they kind of like the way he wrote it, and it kind of has tendrils of some of his old books like The Stand and this, that, and the third. It's like, all right, that might be the only way you can actually figure out this property to do it into a way that is interesting for people to watch, and for the fans of it, and even for the writer to be like, okay, you pulled it off, good job, this works. But now we get to the point where it's like the idea didn't work, like they didn't do it, and then like we get to this point of Marvel, like, oh well, how do we keep people, like the Marvel beast and the Disney beast coming together is like super dangerous, right? Like it's at odds to me from the Warner's DC beast, because you can always say like, yo, Bugs Bunny was never that same type of like ominous, like, you need to come visit me in my park and spend all this money. Like, you just like, oh no, like Bugs Bunny's that dude, you know what I'm saying? He gonna get the upper hand on somebody, or like, or got to a point, Superman's corny, and it just seems like now these ideas and these giant corporate battles for attention and dollars and exploiting different modes of consuming, because everybody was like, let's cut the cord. And I try to tell people, if you cut the cord, there's going to be a response. You should just kind of keep cable. And then like internet price gone up because you don't pay for cable, and now they're going to make you buy a bunch of streaming services. And they were like, but yeah, I'll just borrow the passcode until they can stop you from borrowing the passcodes. Like, oh, Julian, why do you download stuff on BitTorrent? Because like you don't have it. Like even if you buy it, you don't own it. And
yeah, that's what's really frustrating to me. And it's like I need to make sure I have certain films, at least in some form, because it's like you never know when they snatch them away,
If they stop making the disc, how you gonna do it? Like how you gonna have these things?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like that's a problem I have even with the current trend of the younger artists versus Adobe and the pricing practices. I get people not liking the pricing practices, but like the fact that you thought you own the software is like that means you never read that agreement when you bought the software. Like you don't own shit. You never own shit. Like that's not how this works. But I know I'm a weirdo. I was a person in the computer lab reading all the license agreements that the school paid for the software for. Like, it's a hustle, and I don't want to steal these programs no more. It's just cheaper to me to pay these people money.
Mm.
Like people forget how hard it was to be a pirate. Like it wasn't an easy thing downloading all these files, putting them together, getting serial number makers, things to like.
I don't have any comments on that.
Like it is what it is. Changing the nodes, and
yeah.
you know what I'm saying. So when it pings back, and if people want to act like all this stuff is brand new, it's like nah. The computer started pinging back to home base in like 2006. Like, cause I didn't have $1,200 to pay for Photoshop. They acting like Photoshop was $30. It wasn't.
You liberated the app.
It was what it was, nigga. I had to cook this rock, so a lot of good stuff was made in the 2000s when people was just out here pirating. We got good music, we got movies and YouTube ideas and all that stuff.
A whole generation of motherfuckers learn how to create things off of that.
MySpace, you learn HTML, and because you want to change the way your page look, and you found songs you never would have thought of, and you actually have them. Like now, like sitting here trying to make a playlist of the 2010s. It's like there's so many songs. It's like that ain't even on streaming. No way to put it on there. Like damn. Some of these people will never know that bliss of that random DJ mix. Ever.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. That's like for what?
Yeah, like, yeah. Like, yeah. It's America Online all over again. I don't know how we got here. The internet was free until until the App Store happened. Like, I love my iPhone, but man, that App Store kind of fucked everything up. Pre-App Store, it was good times.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's definitely building how do I say this definitely building in like a fence, let's say, around the different ways of relating to this wild or like common space. You know what I mean? And then charging people, regulating it and charging people to be a part of it,
sometimes
which is kind of like
making money off of it, but it's free, but we're going to spy on you and we're going to use all your data to make money off of you.
Yeah.
Dang. But how's LAAB number 4 doing? You get good response?
Like in terms of sales?
This period. Like, did you get a good response? Have you heard good things from people in response to like reading it? Is it selling?
Yeah, I haven't been out there. It seems like it's selling well. I mean, it's hard to tell because like the first time out, I got paid. Like I got an advance, so I paid myself. You know what I mean, to do the work. And this time out, like I'm only getting bread on the back end. So like it's hard for me to compare just by revenue. And to be honest, I've been so kind of like caught up on the writing that I'm doing, like the movie stuff and like, whatever that like I haven't paid a whole bunch of attention to how it's performing. And I haven't really talked to many people about it. Like, kind of scale back all the internet shit, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't post as much, like, trying not to talk to people as much online, you know what I mean? Like, trying to just like, particularly not just random people, you know what I mean? Like, trying to, spend more time being like present with the people around me. So I feel like I'll find out more how people are relating to the new one once next year's sort of like conventions start to pop off, you know? I don't know, man. It's going to sound like I'm excited to have it out. I don't really, I expect, or I hope the response will come in how people are making things, like will they be inspired to make something, Like, I think I'm more interested in that, to be honest. And I don't know, I'm not stressing it too much right now. Like, there's so much for my brain is just completely preoccupied with like a gang of other shit.
Yeah.
Too. You know what I mean? So,
speaking of the 1,000-pound gorilla, Prison Cast is about to be a movie, for real. Like Spike Lee's directing it.
Yeah.
And it's public that you co-writing, right? Or do I have to edit this part out?
Yeah, that came out. That came out.
That's good. Yeah. You out here, screenwriter, you about to get in that WGA, you about to get them screeners next year, dog. You about to be watching movies for free like me. You about to be.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in the club. I want to be in the club with you.
You about to get way more movies. You about to get way more movies, though. You about to be. You about to double up. You about to have people over to the crib like, I got this. Don't spend no money.
Quiet as kept.
But yeah, man, how you feeling with that? How are you dealing with this change?
Like, it's interesting. I think like you should ask me this question again next year, like maybe after the release, because like I feel like a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, the work is I remember talking to someone a while ago. And like, I feel like I'm taking my own advice around this whole process, which is I was talking to someone, and I used to tell them like, "Yo, you got to just finish a comic." You know what I mean? Like, if you don't finish, you don't really know what goes into it. You know what I mean? So you don't know like kind of what the outcome is. Like, you don't know the whole arc of it. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like with this, it's like I'm just doing a little bit of writing. Like, I'm just, seeing how all these things come together. Like, I'm watching how the producers relate to Spike. Like, I'm seeing what the process is in terms of like the studio procedures. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of things that I don't feel like I'm necessarily even. Like I got to see it all the way to the end to know, like, to look back and be like, okay, so that's how that plays out. Or at least in one version, like, this is how that plays out. So like right now I'm excited, man. Like I'm doing the work, paying attention to the task that's at hand, really on some just like, always just amused by the reality of what it is, versus like what is imagined or what people pop shit about. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like, oh, well, I'm working on this or I'm working on that, or like research for a thing, or like, all this shit. And it's just like, I'm going to keep doing it like how I was doing it, which is like not saying shit until the shit come out.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about it, right? Like, because I can tell you the whole breadth about it. Right now, I'm having a good time writing. I'm thinking about like how this relates to my comics practice. You know what I mean? Like, when I have the time and when I have the money, it seems like I'll have more freedom to really pursue, if sort of just like having a full belly doesn't kill that drive, you know what I mean? But I won't, you know what I mean? Like, I won't have to worry about, this time next year, knock on wood, I won't have to worry about like an advance. You know what I mean? Like, I won't have to worry about any of that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just be like, okay, I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna fucking do whatever the hell I want to do. I'm gonna put this comic out however the hell I want to put it out. You know what I mean? Which is crazy because like it makes me really admire the people who already kind of do that, like in the zine scene and shit. You know what I mean? Like, they got their other job. Like, it's not, a fucking working on a show or working on a movie or something like that. But it's like, it's another job, and it pays for them to do what they do, and they have the creativity and the bravery to like put out their work, bro. Like, what I want is to continue like my relationship to the smaller comics conventions. Like, that's how I see my life playing out. Like, if I can have what I want, like, I'll continue to make like films, and I'll put out comics. I'll put out like a comic or two every year at these small conventions. Like, if you ever catch me in a big joint, it'll be to promote a fucking movie. Like, you will never see my ass step foot into these big conventions, like, to be a part of like the comics community there, unless I'm working for some other shit. Because like, I feel like the scale of it is just abrasive and antagonistic. It's just essentially, bro, it's just like the energy, I just don't be feeling it. Except for me, you know what? I'm lying off of that. Because like, if I'm there and it's just essentially me and you hanging out at New York Comic Con at the table for like however many hours I managed to stay in that room, I enjoy it. I don't enjoy the walk to it. I don't enjoy the walk from it. I don't enjoy like anything else about it. But like, when I'm just in, say, Artist Alley, just kicking it, it's pretty cool actually. And like, what I would like is to have my little, comic. I'm trying to do it on a scale, of motherfuckers who younger than me, who I respect. You know what I mean? Like, shit, man. Like, there's so many ill casts out there. Like Ryan Cecil Smith, you know what I mean? Like fucking Richie Pope, you know what I mean? Like this young cat I just recently got into, Sing Han's Jazz Viat, I think is how you say his name. Really dope artist, man. Like, little people doing little books, man. Like, things that are precious that, like, it's like you pick them up and it's just like, you don't even want to read them too fast because you don't know, like, when you're going to get another one. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what I want to do. And, like, movies I want to make movies, like, I mean, it would be nice to make movies like that, too. That's what I'm kind of focused on. That's what I want to do is, like, also, as the year moves on, or, like, moving pictures in some shape or form. You know what I mean? As time moves on, I want to like start to create original works in that format, and I'm already kind of like doing some of that now, with Printed Cats, and also with there's other things that I'm kind of engaged in and working on. So, I mean, all of that shit, but I'll say what I can for the audience. But like,
all will be revealed in time.
Yeah, all will be reviewed. Yeah, I mean that's it. Yo,
yeah.
Did you see Atlantics yet?
I still haven't watched it. Man, it took a lot to find like the time and energy to sit through Uncut Gems. And,
oh my God, it's so stressful. For me, it's stressful as fuck.
Yo, I know I'm the only person that's like, like I get it. I do think Adam Sandler deserves like every nomination. He deserves it. But I just the Safdie brothers are my new Lynch. Like
Yeah.
I just don't like the stories they make. Like they make well crafted stories where I hate everybody in it, except for like two people.
Yeah.
Like how I'm gonna hate Lakeith Stanfield? He good in everything. But they do know what they're doing. I give them respect. They know what they're doing. They was building tension. It was tense. It was tense. The whole movie was tense.
Yeah.
You know what that movie reminded me of? Well, it was way less tense. Was when our homie Mike Berry took me to the Diamond District.
Oh, word.
But
That's the thing. That's why motherfuckers was talking about how much of a New York movie it is.
Yeah.
And it's got that vibe. It's got that vibe, like those couple of blocks right there. You know what I mean? What was that like?
It's like
30th?
I always remember it was like
37th or
it was like
something,
40th. It was like 39th and 40th.
Oh, okay.
Like
it's over there where the
7th and
Nintendo
8th.
store used to be.
Yeah.
Or the Nintendo store still over there?
Wow, you know more than me. But yeah, I was like, it got it. Like, yeah, it's tense as hell up in there. Yeah, everybody do buzz you in. Like, I think that was around, like, I think I went there, like, a couple years after that. I was like, nah. Like, you know, the movie set in 2012. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, nah, this is, like, it fits. Like, it ain't not, it's authentic as hell. Like, they really out here making, like, authentic New York movies. Like, there's nothing fake about their movies. Like, nah, it's authentic as shit.
Yeah.
The same way, like, you know, Woody Allen's movies or Scorsese movies or Spike Lee movies, those are all New York movies. Yo, these brothers make New York movies with New York people doing New York things. Like, hey, like, it's gonna be interesting award season. I know that's for sure. Cause I don't know if that movie really fits the usual Oscar paradigm. So tense.
How do you mean?
It don't make you feel good at the end. A lot of people unlikable. It's kind of brash and hard. Lot of urbanness in it, to use the code word. A lot of blackness in it. You know, in terms of like the stuff that they're around. We'll see. You know, like with all the talk about diversity in the end, you know, them old voters are still gonna pick like the Green Book to win some shit. So, you know,
I wonder what's happening with the Academy though, if like, you know, if that old guard is shifting at all, you know?
It's gonna take time. Cause the motherfuckers gotta age out and like literally not be alive. And also the thing is that people gotta watch the movies. Like sometimes people don't watch the movies until they make a big buzz, so Uncut Gems might be straight because everybody's talking about Uncut Gems. Like the critic circles, the actor circles, the billboard, like it is being promoted, you know. And my problem with Netflix movies is that they go away because, you know, they're on Netflix and then like 2 days later there's something else on Netflix. And everybody's talking about that. And nothing get a chance to really live. So we'll see how well The Irishman does.
Yeah. What did you think about it?
I still ain't watched this. 3.5 hours, bro. I don't got that much time.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Straight up. I just don't have people like, you should just watch it in chunks. Like, nah, it's a film, it's not a show. Like, I'm not purposely, I might even be distracted while I'm watching a movie, but I'm sitting down for the whole movie. I ain't breaking it up in pieces. Like, I don't feel like putting shit together. Like, that's a TV show. But hey, the Golden Globes is tomorrow, and that's too damn early, but you know, I'll be tomorrow night. I'll be up till 11, getting tight.
Yeah, I don't really watch the awards show. I guess I gotta start now.
Yeah, I start kind of paying attention a little bit. You know, the buzz, the talk, the conversation. You know me. I've been reading the trades, and I ain't even got no stakes in the game yet. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, yet this year, man. Like I'm really. It's really interesting to see the state of the industry, though, man. Like You see Portrait of a Woman on Fire? You got that yet? The screener?
No.
I wanted to see that.
There's a lot of films that I didn't get a chance to see that I was unhappy about. Like, I'm gonna try to watch this 1917 soon, and
Yeah.
because I'm like, you do a World War One movie, but it's like one shot. I want to see it for the attempt. Like,
Is it one shot?
It's supposed to be one could like cut like one continuous shot. So I'm like, I gotta see this. I gotta see if he pulled it off. Like, I'm with it. And you know, that's a dirty war. That's the first, you know, quote unquote modern war. I gotta see how you gonna do this. There's that Dark Water movie with Mark Ruffalo, him like investigating some stuff.
Oh yeah, I was curious about that one.
That kind of came and went because it's like, oh, this movie's about serious stuff. Let's argue about Star Wars characters not being in the movie long enough. But okay.
When's the backlash come? Like, when is there a point where people just like completely over all of this shit, the Yoda and whatnot? You know what I mean? Like,
no, man, it's just never gonna happen. Star Wars was like the first one to do this shit. This shit is a religion now, bro. Motherfuckers gonna fight over this shit. And I don't even want people to think I'm belittling shit, but there could be motherfucking Star Wars Sunni and Shia shit like 800 years from now over this Star Wars shit. It could be real motherfucking Jedi.
We didn't even
Jedi
talk about
Sith.
Iran, bro. We didn't even talk about Iran yet.
Bruh. Donald Trump did the same thing MBS did to Khashoggi.
Yeah.
Except way, way, way more blatantly. Like, MBS tricked this Bama into a house and they did it. Trump had a nigga with an Xbox controller shoot a nigga like it's Call of Duty. With a missile, though. Not a bullet. C4 to your door, no beef no more. Like, that's some gangster shit. Like, not gangster, but literally, that's some gangster shit.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous. And now you got everybody talking about how he was a big... Nobody knew the fuck about this dude.
Yeah.
But he's the biggest bad guy. He's the biggest terrorist. Like, are we just going to call people's, like, basically joint chief, like, chief of, like, Secretary of Defense, like, terrorists now? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's
it's crazy.
That's what we doing. Oh, okay. And Netanyahu was looking mad weak in Israel, like 2 weeks ago. Like, he didn't really have a good
That's what I was thinking about yesterday. I was like, wow, like, this was, I mean, this, you know, just even thinking about what this motherfucker did for himself to change his topic, like, wow, how do we change the conversation in Israel right now? You know what I mean? Like, holy shit.
Like, he was weak, and now he's going to be, like,
he's
going to be the man.
Because they want a strong man right now. Yeah, because they want someone to defend them from, like, you know,
Hezbollah.
Bro, what they are expecting. You know what I mean? What they've been expecting, but now they damn sure expect.
Yeah. And it's something that they ask, it's not even something where, you know, you see, I remember seeing things where, like, you know, Boris Johnson is basically saying in a British way, like, this ain't the move. But in Israel, the way Netanyahu talks, is like, we've been asking for somebody to kill this dude for years. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, like, I sit down and I really sit down and worry because I know that Israel and, like, Saudi Arabia and us, the United States, are working on this, like, coalition to stop the growing influence of Iran, because they say Iran got all the militias and stuff going on in Syria and Yemen, and, you know, the stuff in Iraq, and then you got Iraq people kind of like, they want everybody gone. But now I worried it's like, what's going to happen is that Saudi Arabia can, like, big up a Sunni to take over again, and they just repeats the whole Saddam Hussein process, because all that shit was like a certain group of people in the United States putting somebody else in power in Iraq, and then we had he was good until, like, fucking 89, and then he was the bad guy. So, like, I can see that whole thing start again because it all connects to that Sunni Shia shit. Because Saudi Arabia
it goes back to fucking 1950, 57, bro.
And Sunni and Shia go back before that. That's like a good 1,000 years.
Yeah. Yeah. But I
So
mean, like, here's the thing. Is like, that shit been going on all through the Ottoman Empire, all of that shit. Like, we can't really claim to, like, how we look like, involving ourselves in that. But like, we definitely go back to the fucking, the
50,
coup
yeah,
to
the
put
50s,
the
yeah.
the Shah in the power and shit. You know what I mean? We go
It's,
all the way back to that, and we've been sticking our little finger in that shit all the way back. Fucking Roosevelt's nephew, all of that wild shit. Was it Mossadegh? How you say his name? You know what I
shit.
mean? Like,
I fucked that up.
all the way back, bro. And it's like, it's crazy to look at what happens. To look at what happens is just like, man, I forget. Doom had this one thing about, like, he had this one line about asking somebody for their weapon, then slapping them and telling them get the stepping. And it's like, that's what this shit is like, bro.
Yeah.
Like, nobody in the Western world wants to talk about like how the shit jumped off. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of wild to sit here and like it's crazy, bro. Like, I live here. You know what I mean? Like, shit goes down, like, it against people, here. Like, this is my neighborhood, right? Like, this is my world. It's where my family is. So like, I actually care a whole lot about niggas picking fights on behalf of me. You know what I mean? And like, you know what? Look, I gotta keep my lights on too, right? Like, so it's in the name, for me to have cheap fucking internet is in the name of like how we control resources around the world. Like, it goes back. At the same time, like, don't do that shit on behalf of me, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or so that fucking British Petroleum can have cheap Iranian oil, or like so that you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
The
don't do that shit on behalf of me, bro. Like,
the weirdest thing is
and
that
please,
oh my bad. I was like, I guess for me, it's like this is probably the first president where I don't think he's even hiding the fact. It's not like before where they try to say this is for United States interests. And we all know, like everybody know, this is like Trump on some Trump shit. This is like, nigga, this is about me.
yeah,
Like, this is the most blatant. Like, this is about me. And he basically saw a lot like he killed their number two dude and said like, yo, you really don't want nothing, so don't do nothing. And like, what do you like, nigga? You started. This is on some street shit. This is some real beef shit. Like,
yeah,
you what? You just gonna kill? You killed dude in a whole nother country. It wasn't even
yeah,
like how's Iraq supposed to even like deal? Like, yo, you just murdering people in our country. That's the same shit with Turkey. With MBS was like, y'all just killing niggas in our
yeah,
country now? You think that's okay? And it's like the gall of these motherfuckers. It's like I was watching some Vice News shit and motherfuckers was talking about Iran like they Nazi Germany or some shit. And I'm like, so you making this narrative already? Like, if they Nazi Germany, then I'm noticing the news is like, oh, they doing naval drills with Russia and China. So y'all really out here trying to craft a narrative of a redo of World War II with like similar setup but different players.
it's gross,
And I think
disgusting.
nobody's really figuring it because now it's because of social media. I gotta scan through niggas making dumb jokes because they shook. And news organizations openly, everybody becomes kind of like versions of Fox News now. Like, all y'all
Yeah,
niggas is towing the line all of a sudden. Everybody towing the line of this. They ain't killed nobody over here. They might have killed one
nope.
contractor, maybe. Like one random nigga with a job. Oh, okay. Yeah, man. This shit is disgusting. It makes me more into a capitalist because now I just want to get some money just in case a nigga gotta leave. That's it. It's just like I know there's good things, I know there's bad things, I know the system's fucked up, but in the end, like, yo, if you can't leave at 30 seconds flat when the heat is around the corner,
Mm.
gotta get my money up. That's it. Put my shit in a fireproof storage and just be like, I'm out. I'm going to this nice place that's safe for a while. It's fucked up. My bad.
Oh man, I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. I can't say I, agree or disagree at all when it comes down to just like, I don't know. Either you're gonna get away by that means, or you're gonna figure out a way of stealing away. You know what I mean? Escape. I mean, it's fucked up, man, because it's like, sort of just the complete moral bankruptcy of like the state, to the point where it's just like, living within it and not being able to fuck with it at all, bro. Like, not even coincidentally. You know what I mean? Like, just, and thinking about, I don't know, man. Like, it's a lot to think about right now, bro. Like, it's a little too much. Like, the world that we live in, and then it's like also walking around and, not knowing like who the fuck actually sanctions this shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's like more and more you see like the mad shit that people have done in the past just be seen as mad reasonable.
Yeah.
It's like, geez, bro. Like, I don't know. I do feel like sometimes I want to get the fuck up out of here, because like, but I mean, it's like, that's convenient. You know what I mean? Like, got me thinking real hard about like, what is the move? Like, what is the move you make? You know what I mean? Like, you keep producing little fucking funny books. Like, what do you do?
Hey, man.
Do you like, you know what I mean? Like, you have a little silly critique. Like, what's your angle? What does it mean to live in this environment? You know what I mean? To live in this environment where it's like, bro, we talk about Iran, we didn't even talk about the fucking fires in Australia. Like,
yeah.
Gotta laugh because it's fucking crazy.
They're out there losing animals we probably never even seen before.
Bro, millions. Yeah.
Like, it's just on fire. Australia on fire. Whole country.
Yeah.
Niggas is living in a Blade Runner without the motherfucking replicants and shit. Ain't that a bitch? We don't even got no replicants, man. Niggas ain't even got robots. We gotta live with all the suck without the robots.
Here's the thing. Niggas was robots.
Well, you know what I mean, nigga. I want the new
niggas.
Was,
yeah, I know
what
you
mean,
but like, but like, niggas was robots. Niggas was new niggas. You know what I mean? Niggas was new humans, right? Well, niggas was subhumans. But like, yeah, niggas was robots. Literally. Yeah, that's the next book.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what would change with the art, though. How the art's going to change, the way content, distribution. But you know what? We should save that for the next joint, the next podcast we do in about a month or so.
Yeah, from Europe. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you be on your art,
be over there. Bro, I'm curious what's going to be happening over there, man, in the belly of the fucking beast.
Yeah, you close.
Like,
niggas be turning up.
Europe needs to stop fucking around and like take account for us even being in this fucking space. England, fucking the Western world needs to fucking own up to all the shit that they did that got us to this place. You know what I mean? Like, not meaning like the whole beef, going back to like who takes the place of Muhammad or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
them niggas drew the lines, bro. Them niggas drawing the lines caused a lot of problems.
Yeah.
They drew a lot of make believe lines.
Drawing the lines and also, asserting themselves in a way, and like the United States playing a big hand in making sure that these colonial powers lost their colonies in name only. You know what I mean? Like, but we're still able to manipulate, extract resources, and maintain that position of power. And that shit is literally just white supremacy. Like, it's literally like, It's like not literally just, but white supremacy plays a huge role in that. It is. It's capitalism. It's like and war capitalism. It's a whole bunch of shit, bro. Like but Europe really need to be like, you know what, and like, come on, hold each other, to account. You know what I mean? Like, why do they just let us wild the fuck out and do whatever, bro? Like, don't anybody got, that's like from the inside, I feel like, does anybody have balls to like hold us to account for this? You know what I mean? Like, we supposed to have like a UN, it's like other nations need to hold the United States to account, man. Like, it's fucking crazy.
The only other nations who do try, they become the bad guys. Or Russia.
Hey.
And I'm not saying Russia's a hero, but to me, the main thing I'm seeing Putin is saying is like, y'all hypocritical as shit. Like, y'all ain't the good guy. You just as bad as I am. And when you look at it, he's right. Or it's China. It's like, they're not, they ain't no angel at all, but they're like, y'all ain't shit. We want to be the big guy now. Y'all got your chance. So I don't know. Europe got to deal with its own shit, but it got the immigration shit. And they're going through the same shit we going, which is basically racist as fuck. And the world's getting hotter, so motherfuckers going to be trying to move up more. And they don't like that shit. It's happening there first.
Yeah, and they front like, you know what I mean? Like, they like, don't come here. It's like, nigga,
y'all got all the money, all the jobs, all the shit, and a better climate. Yeah. You want to talk about don't come here? Y'all was down here for a mad long time. Nigga, run them houses, bruh.
Yeah. Yeah, make room.
Old ass buildings.
All right, bro.
Shit. But all right, man.
All that money they extracted the building shit too.
Give me that shit back. Run that shit.
Yeah. All right, brother.
Right,
I love you, man. It's good talking. I hope to talk to you again soon, and hope we have some cool shit to share with you, man. Like, it's good to hear all the great stuff happening with you too. Maybe next time I don't know what you want to talk about. You know what I mean? But like,
we'll see.
But what you already talked about,
Real Jesus in silence like Giannis.
Ayo, bucket hat like I'm Gilligan. Hit Wallace, I just ordered a Cullinan. Milking the cow with all you niggas uttering. Churning them butter. Sensitive niggas crying, stepping in puddles in them new Gianos, nigga. The team I'm assembling, you trembling. We in a circle huddling, fumbling. We coming and tackling your empire. It's Robert crumbling. Shit is humbling. I'm a fucking Jumbotron juggernaut. You a Jeep.